First reason, meat's fucking horrible for you. It's the fucking saturated fat and cholesterol. Duh! I'm an honest guy. It's just a fact. So I'm gonna come right out and say it. I'm gonna say it like if I was on a mountaintop, I'd fucking scream it right now. Saturated fat and cholesterol are fucking horrible for you. It's just a fact. If you say otherwise, you're no better than I can't think of something you're not better than, but just think of something that's not very good. You're not better than that. Fuck. First off, saturated fat and cholesterol, they cause fucking heart disease. Right there. You don't even need anything else. You just buy. That's all you fucking need to know. I'm not lying to you. I'm an honest guy. That's all you need to fucking know. But you know what? Why don't we delve into how? I'll be broad. I'll be short. I'll keep it simple. First off, saturated fat indirectly causes heart disease because it raises your cholesterol in the liver. Right there. But what directly causes heart disease is the fucking cholesterol. And how does it do this? Well, first off, it builds up in the lining of your arteries. And if you have high blood pressure, this effect is only enhanced. Because when you have high blood pressure, the arteries, they stiffen. And these little lesions, they start forming in the lining of the walls. Think of it as cracks. And the cholesterol just builds up in there. It just wants to fucking shelter in there like it's a fucking burrowing gopher. Fuck, it's ridiculous. So, cholesterol builds up in the lining of your arteries. What happens next? Well, this is what happens. Your immune system says, I don't want it there. So it sends macrophages, which is they're white blood cells, and they just engulf pathogens. It treats the cholesterol as a fucking pathogen. Again, is that all you need to how are you not just like, no, I'm not going to eat meat ever again? Anyways, the macrophages, they engulf the cholesterol, the LDL. You know what LDL is. You've heard it every fucking day of your life. The LDL. And if the cholesterol becomes oxidized, or like the LDL becomes oxidized, this effect is only further enhanced. It is your immune system just sends the troops. It wants that thing out of there like it's a fucking disease, which it is, but it wants it out there. So your macrophages, they engulf the cholesterol, and this is where the fatty streaks, they're the first signs of atherosclerosis, which is just plaque buildup in your arteries. The fatty streaks are the first sign. So after these fatty streaks begin forming, smooth muscle cells, which are cells underneath your epithelium. Your epithelium is just a single cell layer that covers all your organs, and beneath that there's smooth muscle cells, and there's subendothelial cells. There's just different layers, and the smooth muscle cells, the smooth muscle cells, they come out over the epithelium and they start covering those fatty streaks. This is the formation of plaques that you have in atherosclerosis. There's fucking plaques, buddy. You don't want plaques. Fuck. So the plaques begin forming, and as this is happening, more LDL is just building up. This whole cycle just keeps repeating until there's a fucking barge sitting on the inside of your arteries. So basically, think of a pipe, and there's a big piece of mud just blocking off half the pipe. The water is trying to push through, but it can't. So there's two things that happens. Either the water just builds up because there's not enough space to get through, and what happens? It's a blood clot, but it blocks the blood flow. And if that's in your heart, that causes a heart attack. So coronary artery disease, it's the buildup of plaques in your coronary artery, the artery that supplies blood to your heart. So if you have buildup of plaques there and the blood clot happens, you have a fucking heart attack. Or this could happen anywhere in your body. So you could get a blood clot in your leg, your arm. It can happen in your brain. This can happen anywhere. It's a heart attack if it happens in your coronary artery. Second thing that happens, and this is what causes strokes. If the plaque is still there, but the blood is still going through, the blood pressure is increasing because it's just trying to build up and push through. It's gonna if it breaks off a piece of the plaque, then that plaque's gonna break off and it's just gonna flow right up your arteries through your blood vessels, and it's gonna land somewhere. It's just gonna get stuck somewhere. And say it gets stuck in your carotid artery, you have a fucking stroke. You don't want a stroke unless you want to slur every single word you have. Yeah, you'll be funny at a party or two, but it's not good. You can't taste anything. You can't even smell. You just it would fucking suck. Cerebrovascular stroke. You don't want that. So So cholesterol causes heart attacks, causes strokes. What else does it cause? What else does it? What else does it need to cause to convince you? Well, here's what it fucking causes. It causes Alzheimer's, because I mentioned atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis, it's just a narrowing of the arteries due to fatty streaks and the buildup of plaques over those fatty streaks. But this doesn't just happen in your heart. It happens throughout your whole body. So your whole body, you have a huge network of veins and arteries and blood vessels. It's a giant tree. And atherosclerosis, it's a disease of that whole vascular tree. That's why when you have a steak, you don't just get a heart attack. You don't just get atherosclerosis. It's a buildup over years, and your whole vascular tree just turns to shit. And you know what's in your brain? You know what causes Alzheimer's? It's a buildup of plaques in your brain. The same way that there's a coronary artery disease, it's a buildup of plaques in your coronary artery. Alzheimer's is a buildup of plaques in your fucking brain. That's Alzheimer's. There's no difference. It's the same fucking thing. Everyone knows what a heart attack is. Everyone knows. It's funny. It's almost cliche to assume that it's not cholesterol. Like, everyone knows. They just don't give a fuck. But Alzheimer's is the same fucking thing. And everyone will be like, oh, I would never want Alzheimer's. I would do anything. If they don't give a fuck about heart disease. But Alzheimer's is probably the worst disease to get. Could you imagine if your mother, the woman you love most in this world, flailed her arms at you like a fucking crazy person because she was so demented that she didn't know who you were? Could you imagine that? It'd be fucking horrible. And every day of your life, it would be that. It'd be fucking horrible. And it's no different than heart disease. It's the same fucking thing. They're all caused by cholesterol. It's all a disease of your vascular system. You don't want that. Fuck me. Like, if you haven't paused this video and ran to your parents and be like, Mom, Dad, eat the meat right now or I'm jumping off a fucking bridge. Like, go do that. Like, pause the video. There's more to come, but just fucking go do that. Like, if you don't believe me, but at this point, like I said, I'm an honest guy. I'm not making this up. Like, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, now what am I gonna do today? What am I gonna do? Let's do something fun. You know what? Let's go on YouTube and let's lie to everybody on what causes heart disease. Cause that'd be fucking fun. I'm having fun right now because I'm lying right to your face, obviously. Fuck. I bet you, if there's out of the 10 people that watch this, I bet you 5 of them are thinking that, like, he's lying, man. He doesn't have a study showing that a gopher and a rat fucking did this and they were healthy or something stupid like that. Fuck me. Now, on to saturated fat. Yeah, there's more to come. Actually, to stick on to cholesterol, there's one interesting fact. Cancer cells feed on cholesterol like it's a fat guy eating a burger at McDonald's. They just engulf it like it's a fucking drug, man. Like it's a fucking drug. Cancer cells, they love cholesterol. Man, I bet you're loving cholesterol right now. I bet you're running to fucking London Drugs and buying a cholesterol drug because it just sounds so appealing. Saturated fat indirectly contributes to heart disease. Now, what does saturated fat directly do? I don't know. Actually, I do know. You know what it does? You know what saturated fat does? It causes type 2 diabetes. That's right. Type 2 fucking diabetes. It's not carbs. It's not sugar, it's saturated fat. You know why it's saturated fat? I'll tell you why it's saturated fat. But first, let me give you an analogy of what type 2 diabetes is and what it pertains to. So you have your cell, and there's a door on it. It's a protein, or you have a cell with a door on it, and that door is going to let glucose in. And you have a protein receptor on top, and that's like a lock. And you have insulin, which is a key to that lock. So the insulin turns the key, attaches to the protein receptor, and lets the glucose in. Do you know what saturated fat is? You know what this whole ordeal is about type 2 diabetes? Kills 1.4 million people a year. Just debilitates people. Just makes people miserable. It's like probably the worst disease you could have. That's the fucking Alzheimer's. You know what saturated fat does? It's quite literally gum in the lock, and it doesn't let the key turn the lock. Saturated fat plugs the locks on your cell so the insulin can't turn it and let the glucose in. This is called lipotoxicity. The saturated fat is poisoning your cells. So your pancreas, it keeps pumping insulin so it can try and jam the fucking lock open and get the glucose in there. And in some cases it doesn't even work. People die of diabetes. That's right, you die. Think about it. You need the glucose. It's a precursor for making energy. If you can't make the energy, you can't fucking live. Why do you think when you stop breathing, you just pass out and you die? Oxygen and glucose, glucose is a precursor to energy. Oxygen itself is used in making energy directly. Like, you need both, and if you don't have one or the other, you're fucked. That's why saturated fat causes type 2 diabetes, indirectly causes heart disease, cholesterol causes heart disease, fucking Alzheimer's. It even contributes to cancer. And it's all in meat. It's not in plants. It's in fucking meat. In the highest amount. It's only found there. You don't get cholesterol in plants. You get a tiny bit of saturated fat in plant foods. Only a tiny bit. Because you may know this, you may not, but you do need a bit of cholesterol. It's used in your cell membranes. It's used. It has a function. It's good for you, but your liver makes the right amounts that you need. So like if you have if you have chia seeds, or you have flax seeds, or you have a little bit of fat in like a potato or whatever, there's a bit of saturated fat in there, just a bit, and your liver uses that saturated fat and it makes the cholesterol, but it only needs a small amount. The amount that you get in animal foods, it's like 10-fold more than you need, and that's why it builds up. If you look at like a dog or any type of carnivore, you stuff English egg McMuffins down their throat, there's 8 billion pounds of cholesterol, maybe not that much, maybe 2 billion, I don't know. You stuff cholesterol down their throat essentially. They don't get heart disease. Their cholesterol doesn't raise. Nothing happens. They just keep panting like they're on cloud 9. Nothing happens because they're carnivores. Their anatomy and physiology is adapted to use cholesterol or excrete it in some way. That's the thing. They can excrete it. It's not like because it doesn't build up. But herbivores, humans, that doesn't happen to us. It just builds up. We don't have a way of excreting it. And there's a lot of things in animal products that have the same effect. And I'll go into that in the next videos because as I didn't state this. This is the top 5 reasons why meat is fucking horrible for you. And this is only reason number 1. That's right, there's fucking more. And I just want to end on one note. If you're not convinced at this point, this will sell it to you. This will sell it to you. It's just common sense, it's fucking logic. There's 2 billion Chinamen, maybe an African, maybe a South American, throw them in there, and all they eat is carbs and plants. They don't eat a single steak. They just don't. All they eat is plants. And you want to know the rates of Alzheimer's disease in those populations, the rate of heart disease, the rate of fucking diabetes, and every chronic disease for that matter, it's fucking 0. India has the 8th last risk of Alzheimer's disease. Out of 170 countries, or 180, however many there are, it's the 8th last. It's like 0.5 out of 1,000. America, 42. Finland, it's 50. Canada, it's like 35. 0.5 in India. 8th last. There's no risk factors. If you go to a Kenyan hospital in fucking Africa, if you take in 5,000 patients, they don't have heart disease, they don't have Alzheimer's, they don't have fuck all. You know why? Because they don't eat meat. It's simple as that. You think it's carbs, man? You think it's because you don't think you're getting enough protein, you're not getting enough fucking animal fats, you don't think you're getting enough meat. But all the people who don't eat the meat, they're not sick. The people who are eating the meat, they're sick. Who's the only country that dies of heart disease, cancer, and all this bullshit? Who's the only country? It's the fucking States and every other population or country that takes on their lifestyle, the Western diet. You thought it was the Nazis, man. You think it's the Russians. You think it's the fucking IRS and all this shit. It's not the IRS. It's not all this crap. It's the Western diet. Genocide my ass. You've been lied to your whole fucking life that you should eat the things that will kill you. They'll kill your family, your loved ones, everyone you deem important in your fucking life. You've been lied to, and you're feeding them and yourself the things that will kill you. Hitler. People think Hitler's bad. There's 17 million people die each year from heart disease alone. 17 million people. And those are the people who eat meat. If you stop eating meat, 17 million people would stop dying. 6 million people died in the Holocaust. I don't give a flying fuck. And you know why the Holocaust is deemed bad? Because it was unnecessary. Those people didn't deserve to die. But you know what? Neither did those 17 million people. They don't deserve to die. They're eating things that they've been told that were good for them, but they're clearly fucking not. Get the fuck off this YouTube channel or this video and go start eating some plants and tell everybody to stop eating cholesterol. If you don't, man, you're a fucking idiot. Fuck me. Do the bit, dirty bit, do the bit, dirty bit.